now. Welcome everybody. Well, I am now. Welcome everybody back to Empath Nation. We are here with part 3 of this scenario, and we have gotten to some shit without you guys. Let's continue. Where did we leave off? There's 4 people. Who wants to continue the conversation? Anybody?
Alright, let me throw in a whole different perspective right
now. Throw it in! Because we don't know what we're doing.
Alright, when you look at this at the spiritual community, they talk about how this whole thing, like the elite, the Illuminati, the Cabal, whatever you want to call them, are basically an alien race who has come and for however many years it's been controlling the planet, okay? And the reason they're doing it, this is their belief, the reason they're doing it is they're using us as a battery source. And their battery source, or what they feed off of, is our fear, our negativity, our lower energy, their own lower vibrations.
That's exactly right. They're called the demiurges. And they
wait. Yo, Nitro. Huh? Let her finish, because if we're talking at the same time, it doesn't record well. Go ahead, Becky.
Okay. So, that being said, if that's what they feed off of, and that is the actual case, which is where we were talking about before, how they're throwing in every possible scenario that they can, or like Nitro said, is their last straw, their last ways of throwing in their power, or whatever you want to call it, trying to control us, but creating the fear with the pandemic. That wasn't working to their full potential, I guess you could call it. So now it's the rioting and the racism and throwing all of that in. And it, depending on how this plays out, you know, what could be their next scenario if this doesn't work in their favor? I don't know. Well, you know, it's to be seen. But stop, Frank.
Sorry. I like to play in my face when I'm bored. I'm not bored. I'm listening. But when I'm not talking, and other people are.
Anyway.
Okay.
I just thrown this in for discussion.
Alright, yeah, Nitro. Yeah. What are they called?
Yes.
What are they called?
They're called the demiurges. And they exist between different dimensions at the same time. And they feed off our energy. And that's why they cause the wars. Because they'll actually come down in their ships and sit there and they'll feed off the energy. That's why we have negative. That's why we have the. That's why everything's been negative on the media.
Showing pictures that match.
Send me a link. My Google can't understand me. I'm serious. I am curious. Now, I'm gonna point out. We had this conversation, Becky, not so long ago, I believe. A similar conversation to it. Realistically, if there was a being that did exist in the multi-dimension and can have no problem passing through the infinite dimensions that exist within us, in truth, our electrons that are considered what we consider negative energy. Not all electrons are negative energy, but the electrons that are considered negative energy are what we consider heavy and slow scientifically. They also pull themselves down into the lower dimension, the second dimension. So I would have to believe that you are purposely pulling in more negative energy down into the lower dimensions to feed upon or gain energy from. Now, if that was the case, and you can cross over the multiverse, then that means you are able to tap into the negative energy of every planet beyond Earth Prime. And let's say Earth that we live on right now is Earth Prime. As far as the multiverse is considered, it's the first of many that exist beyond itself, copies. Whether it's because of collective human energy or planetary energy, whatever. Now, so you're saying collectively the infinite negative energy of all the other planets that you can pass through is not enough. That you have to create even more negative energy on Earth Prime to create enough flow to affect every other planet. Why would they need that much energy? Is what you first. My biggest question.
Well, like anything, like you continue to grow, you continue to need more of a food source, no?
Well, no, that's not like anything. Realistically, certain entities could evolve to the point where a fixated amount of energy is all you need, while other energies try to evolve to a higher cellular point and acquire more energy to evolve further beyond themselves. So if they're
that's the reason why the demiurge can only evolve to a certain point. That's our dimension is actually transforming to the fourth and fifth dimension. That's the issue. We're changing over to a different timeline.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I have questioned that reality as well. As far as the Mandela effect goes, I'm sure you guys know a certain degree about that.
Yeah.
I have to say there's some pretty profound information about that tells me it is very possible for someone to go back in time and change things. The problem with that is, from my perspective, is anything we do really relevant if any point in time someone can go back in time, alter reality, and it doesn't really matter because we really won't remember.
Well, I'm quite positive that Trump is a time traveler.
As far as the president is concerned, I don't know for sure in any way about that. I'm not gonna lie. For the last 3 presidents that were in place, everybody was like, they're the Antichrist. And now Donald Trump's the Antichrist. He may not be. Apparently, we're just guessing. We don't know who the fuck it is. But as far as I'm concerned, if you understand anything about the Antichrist or time travelers of that mentality, they're not people who we see. If you know about them, if you know their physical name, they're probably not who we're looking for in every way. It's that simple. Misdirection is everything. We live it every day. We're going through riots, we're going through corona, we're going through killer bees, and whatever else comes fucking next. The reality is, if we know the person, it's not who we're looking for.
I think that's the case. I mean, but we could never fix the problem. We don't know what the problem is.
Well, yes and no. John, what did you say?
Many names of the same group.
Exactly. And as far as human perception goes, there is no way we can do anything about this. As far as the war is concerned, there is nothing we can do about this. Drones alone obsolete us very quickly. However, I believe in a spiritual aspect where I happen to know for a fact that empaths as an individual can manifest enough energy to affect thousands of humans around them. And John, me and you have had quite a little bit of fun with this at one point, testing this theory of how effective, and that was just me and you. Can you imagine 500 of us in one location? Can you imagine 1,000 of us in location? And I'm not talking about the spiritual point of view. I'm talking about the science of it. It's simply a more massive amount of atoms collectively affecting reality. That's all. But let's be real, John. Me and you had a lot of fun with it. It had its pros, it had its cons. But it proved to us that it was real. That we weren't just thinking about it and saying, is it a possibility? We could be crazy. No, we were a scientist. Well, I was a scientist. You were my friend. We're hanging out. And not even real. I went out of my way to make sure you knew as well as I did. Watch this shit go down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What was that one girl's name? I don't have to say her name, but there was this one girl me and John was hanging out. And at the end of the conversation, all she could say was me, I love you, I hate you, and then go run into a bathroom and be like, John, what did you tell Frank about me? And he was like, I didn't tell him nothing. He didn't even know who you were. I never mentioned you. And she was like, you're lying to me. You're lying to me. You know?
Yeah.
And again, for me, that scenario was fun. It was great. We had a great time. Irrelevant from that point of view. What matters is I know for a fact that enough energy in the right scenario can manipulate reality. That's what we call alchemy. That's what we call magic. That's what we call spirituality. That's what we call religion. Now I happen to know for a fact as an individual we are nothing. We can manifest some pretty fun things, but we are nothing. But as a collective, the more of us that actually have what I call subatomic merging, the more of us that are around each other physically, like if we all had a homestead or a location where there's 10, 20 acres, 50 acres, and we're all living on the same property, and we all hung out regularly with each other, that collective energy can do something devastating or promising to a future that otherwise we have no chance in. And what I find funny is, as far as music goes, not as far as music goes, as far as sci-fi goes, or X-Men, or blah, 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 there's always a scenario where the evolution of what human can't comprehend solves the problem. In this perspective, it's empaths. Empaths have the power. They have no idea. 90% of them have no idea that you have the power to control reality. There is no other way that I can comprehend this knowledge other than, why would you give me that power? Okay, I ascended, I evolved. But if there was a God and a grand power, why would you give empaths the power not only to feel people's pains and pleasures, but deepest, darkest secrets? You know what that does to an empath, naturally? It makes it very hard for them to do bad things. Every time they feel bad, they get guilty. And that guilt is very crushing. It's a weight humans don't even comprehend. So,
well, the guilt is the poison. The guilt is the guilt becomes the poison, and that's what prevents you from taking those actions. And that's what can be considered the good or the bad, or like, how do people innately know what is good and bad, and what can affect them at birth and after birth without being taught that? People know that innately. Yeah.
Yes. But we live in a world where common sense no longer means common sense. It means some people have common sense. It no longer defies the ability of the natural human being. It now defies its own reality. It basically means some people know some shit, other people don't. You know, I study hard in the programming and the brainwashing of how the human mind works. And I come to find out that dogs are literally a thousand times harder to train than the human mind. What does that tell you about the human mind? And that goes for every age. Someone who's 91, who's lived their life, is easier to brainwash than a dog. Easier to control, easier to change their perspective than a dog.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is fucking crazy. Yeah, that's fucking crazy. You know who did this? I forget his name, but if you Google the father of advertisement, he was some fucking evil scientist who basically tested on children. He had them strapped down to chairs and these fucking tables, and every now and then they would hear a bell and a cookie would roll down the fucking machine and they would eat the cookie. And he realized that when they rang the bell, that their mouths would salivate, and that dogs did the same thing.
I thought that was dogs. Pavlov.
Pavlov.
Pavlov, that's his name? Look at that. You guys already know.
Yeah.
He actually experimented on dogs originally and then upgraded to children, which changed how we actually produce advertisement today worldwide, always. He is literally considered the father of advertisement. Like, if you study to be get a master's degree or a bachelor's degree in advertisement or producing that level of background, you would learn that Pavlov, I guess that's his name at this time, is actually the father of that knowledge because of what he did.
Yeah, I think I've heard of it before.
It's reality. It's a certain level of brainwash that takes a certain level of control. However, since you're all quiet, perfect time for me to go, we're at 36 seconds, everybody! Ah! And, I guess, part 4 or 11 or whatever it's going to start next. So,
I'm about to head inside now, so I'll let y'all do that, alright?
I like how Devon was here, but not the entire time. Woo woo! Represent! Represent! That's right!
I'm listening.
Yeah, so is the rest of America.
Ooh, shot fired.
Woo! Yo, Devon,
Soon, all right.
true talk. We should do this when you actually have time and you're not working on anything else but just hanging out. All right? We love you and goodbye. And there's that. And then I'm gonna go up here.